All right. It's time to set your alarms. It's time to get your body clocks right because you're going to be up early watching the Open Championship. Welcome to the OG Gambling Syndicate. I'm Joe Giulio, joined as always by Josh Goodson and Bennett Johnson. Boys, welcome back for our final major, but it won't be our final picks of the year. We definitely have to do Wyndham.
The North Carolina Open.
Yeah, we definitely have to do that. It's
the Greater Greensboro Open.
It's also a Ross course, so you can't wait for my comps. I think that's the whole point of this week's picks is just to see what I'm going to compare Royal Troon to. I know you're on the edge of your seat. So we have the Open Championship this week. We're going to make our picks. We have first round leaders from Josh. Bennett is our resident golf nerd and expert on data and also top 20 picks. And quite frankly, my picks for majors this year have been interesting. And by interesting, I mean not great. Bryson DeChambeau, though, something good happened there in Pioneers for me, so that made me happy. I've been good on these bad tournaments, if you will, which also makes me happy. So we'll see if I can continue my hot hand. You might see some of those golfers who have been hot recently amongst my picks. We're also going to try something new because, Josh, you discovered this 2 weeks ago, and now I've hit 2 of these in a row. So I'm pretty happy about this new found gambling premise. It's a top 20, including ties parlay.
Yes.
So we will build one as a show in real time that I will punch into my phone, and maybe Josh will take as well. That we'll try to make some money on. So we're always trying to find ways. The best ways to make money, in my opinion, in gambling is on golf. Those are the best payouts there are. And there's got to be a predictive way. I'm convinced there's a way to predict how this all works. And you can't tell me otherwise. We recently did an interview with Eric Tolsky, who's like off the charts smart. Got into Harvard because he's like off the charts smart. Worked as a chemist for the first 10 years of his professional life. And we were talking about spreadsheets, and he's like, he gave this great answer about how the numbers are perfect and the formula is perfect, but the answers are always imperfect. And my mind was like blown because I'm like, wait a second, all of this time I've been trying to concoct some way to figure out first round leaders and winners, and you're telling me you can sit here and chew the data all you want, but it's not always going to spit out the correct answer. So I've had a formative moment. I've had an awakening in the last few weeks, boys. So I feel good. Let's start with a little bit of an overview of Royal Troon. So let's bring Bennett in right away. Let's get off the gate here. Talking about Royal Troon. The last time I was there, buddy, 2016, it was a freaking shootout between Henrik Stenson and Phil Mickelson. What are we thinking? What's the real world information on Royal Troon before we get into my comp?
Yes. We can't wait to hear what American course this is most similar to.
It's similar to Reno and the Barracuda that's going on this week at the same time.
There's the classic phone ring. Says we got the bingo card early.
Yeah, very similar to a West Coast high tree course. The most important thing to remember from the great showdown of Stenson versus Phil was the whole tournament. And if you go back and watch it, I'm going to go back and pull it up. All they talked about was Henrik Stenson's 3-wood. Remember that? He played it on every single par 4, par 5. He took 3-wood off the tee. The joke of that is they talked about it the entire time. And I'm going to tell you what they're going to talk about this week, which will be funny. The not joke about it and the serious thing for gamblers is that tells you do not have to be a bomber to play here. You're going to see and hear, the par 5s are 2 of them are right at or going to play over 600 yards. You're thinking, oh my gosh, we got to, it's Brooks Koepka. It's got to be a long. It's got to be a Rory. That's not the case. Brian Harman showed us that last year. To be Link's player, you do not have to be long. Robert McIntyre, Bobby Mack just showed that last week. He's not necessarily a long player either, but on Link's courses, it's the great kind of even kill. It'll bring in the older guys, young guys. It kind of makes everyone a little bit more even. Some people will say, you'll hear this probably for the first 6 holes while Tiger's still playing well. If he's going to win, this is a way for him to win because he can play iron off the tee. So that's going to be a big talking point. The next talking point I think will be specific to this course is last time around, this course did not get quote unquote browned out like you typically see. If you watched the Scottish Open last week, the fairways they look like our yards right now.
Yeah.
There's no rain, completely dry. This week, the weather looks unsettled. So it's going to be, I think, a little bit more difficult to keep the browned out feel, the quick fairways, which brings me to what I think will be most important. If it's going to be a little wet, it won't be fast. You're going to have to be in the fairway. You're not going to be playing in the long wispy stuff and be consistently hitting the greens. The greens are large here. And it's actually the course kind of sets up as 2 separate 9s, and the court at this is similar to Pinehurst, actually. Funny enough, and we'll do the comparison.
Bennett, you can't say things like that because
no, you have
Rocket Mortgage.
our guy will just feed off of stuff like that. You can't do that.
It's similar in that there's a lot of courses connected by a singular clubhouse, and different pieces of the courses play completely different. Some are actually tree lines, some are literally on the coast. The 18 that they play for Royal Troon in the Open, there's only 4 holes that are actually lined as a traditional links course on the ocean. So you're going to have a lot of different holes, a lot of different looks. The famous, I always think of the British Open, you get that really tall, crane image of, you can see 8 holes with this one camera, and they're going to show you well, this group's on this hole and this group's on this hole. It's going to be the traditional setup like that. So I like your accurate players off the tee, and typically I'll just read really quick and then I'll flip it to Josh. Usually you don't see people win the Open that are people that have just popped up out of nowhere. Even Brian Harmon last year may not have been a household name, but he's playing really well coming in. Cam Smith, Colin Morikawa, Shane Lowry, he's a links course player. Before that, you had mentioned Henrik Stenson, Rory, Phil, Jordan Spieth. So those are all household big-time players. I don't anticipate seeing a middle-of-the-road PGA Tour, Live player, or DP World Tour player winning. I think it'll be one of the top 9 or 10 guys.
No, you bring up a good point. If you go look at players' Wikipedias, I like doing that sometimes just to kind of give you a general overview of how they play. Guys are even veterans of the PGA Tour. You can look at some guys and they just suck over there. And we talked about Keegan Bradley, for instance, is one of those guys. Then you can go look at other guys. You're like, wait, Jordan Spieth kind of shows up every time they go to a championship venue and such. So it is. It's not necessarily a horses for courses, but it's a horses for they're cool with playing different golf, kind of to an extent. When you bit off that, and you were talking about what it takes. Here was the top 10 last time in 2016.
I was going to say that there was a discrepancy there between the top 2 guys and the rest of the field.
Top 2 guys were 11
I have it in front of me.
They were 11 shots clear of third place. But to Bennett's point of you don't have to hit it bombers, here's top 10. Henrik, don't think of him as a bomber. Phil, even back in the day, was not necessarily a bomber. JB Holmes, definitely not a bomber. Steve Stricker, not a bomber.
Bomber!
Sergio, not really a bomber. Tyrrell Hatton, not a bomber. Rory, yes. Rory could move it then back in 2016. Remember Beef? Andrew Beef Johnston, the guy with the big old fuzzy beard from Scotland, not a bomber. And then the last 3 in the top 10, Bill Haas, not a bomber. DJ, yes. And then Soren Kjeldsen. So you do not have to hit it far. And it's been very wet out there this year. There's not going to be a ton of rollout that there usually is in some of these open venues and such. So bombing, if you can hit it far and keep it in the fairways, great. But everyone's going to be kind of playing the same course.
Par 71. That's a wild finish, man. Stenson minus 20. Phil minus 17. Stenson shot a 63 in the final round. Going back, though, to what you had said, Bennett, I think in this part needs to be emphasized. The front 9 is crazy hard.
Yeah.
Right? And the back 9 is where all the scoring is.
The front 9, even we were deep under par last time. The front 9 actually played slightly above par, which for when you have that much of the field under par, to have 9 holes playing over par, that tells you it's difficult. And it's difficult, and it's only going to play 3,500 yards on the front 9. So it's difficult driving. A lot. Do what?
That warms my heart.
So we can play 3,500 yards.
Yeah.
So it's all about the tee shot. There are actually, and another thing we think about usually with links is, wide open fairways. Or if you miss a little bit, you're going to get hit a hill and kind of roll back in. The front 9 is actually pretty tight, not in the sense that we think of American golf like tree line fairways, but the fairways themselves are not like traditional links and that it's 45 yards wide. No, they're tight with wispy grass. So the front 9 is, if even par through the front is what you're shooting for, and then you're trying to go 3-4 under every day on the back and see what happens.
All right, let's get into our first round leader picks. Those are brought to you by RTP Mortgage. My friend, Josh Goodson, right here, my first round specialist. He can help you out. Best thing to do is give him a call, 252-361-1415. That's 252-361-1415. Have a conversation. Understand what you can afford. And understand what your options are too, Josh. We have talked before about, yes, the rate is somewhere, but the price of housing keeps going up and up and up. You can change your rate eventually. You can change your loan. You can't change the price of the house. It ain't coming down.
The conversation now is lock in the price.
Yes.
Now, because that is 100% going to happen. Rates are actually starting to come down. It's good. The Fed is probably going to cut rates.
And let's be clear. The election, whichever way it goes, is going to change it.
There's a... We talk about odds here, and you can look at this. There's a 100% chance right now of them cutting the rate in September.
Yeah.
That won't affect mortgage directly, but the whole market of lending will be affected in doing that. And so get in now. I talked to so many people who are like, I'm waiting for rates to drop. I'm like,
I was going to say,
there's never going to be enough of a rate drop that's going to overtake the fact that you're going to have to buy a place for 50 grand higher because the list prices are going to go up.
Well, also think about what you just said. They're going to cut rates in September.
Yep.
Right. It's July. You have a family vacation. Then your kids are going to get ready for school, and all of a sudden you're going to be like, "Oh, here come the rates."
Yep.
What I'm saying is, have a conversation and understand what you can afford, and understand what your options are. That's the best thing to do. So give them a call. It's 252-361-1415. Or I don't actually have your email on here, Josh. What is your actual email?
Josh@rtpmortgage.com.
Easy enough. Josh@rtpmortgage.com. All right. So if you are new to our podcast, first round leader bets we like to pick. I don't know. It's usually 12 that you pick.
Mm-hmm.
You usually put enough on it, $25-$30 to get to $1,000 for a payout. It's going to be a little bit different in a major because the odds aren't quite as long, although you'll have some of those in there as well. First round leader bets work accordingly. If someone has the solo lead, you get the full payout amount.
Mm-hmm.
Then you divide it by the number of people they're tied with.
Yep.
So you get yourself into a situation. The U.S. Open, there was a 2-way tie between Patrick Cantlay and Rory McIlroy. Your payout is in half.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And just to go through our leaders so far for the year in the majors, we got DeChambeau in the Masters, solo leader, shot a 65, teed off at 11-18.
Okay.
Which at the Masters is one of the first groups, one of the earlier groups. They don't tee off that early. At the Masters.
It's a smaller field.
You have like the ceremonial and
smaller
all
field as
well.
Yep.
Xander was your first round leader, Schauffele at the PGA. He teed off at 8:03.
Yep.
Solo leader with a 62. U.S. Open down at Pinehurst, we had Patrick Cantlay and Rory, both shot a 65. Cantlay teed off in like the second group at 7:40 a.m. Now, Rory did tee off in the afternoon. So what I'm getting at here is let's look at some people who are teeing off in the morning, in addition to the odds, in addition to how they're playing, in addition to their course history. Also, those names I just mentioned, DeChambeau, PGA won the U.S. Open this year, is a former major champion. Xander ended up winning that particular championship. And then, of course, Rory, multiple time major champion, and Patrick Cantlay, obviously still seeking his first. But you're talking about, four of the top 12 players in the world, no matter where they put DeChambeau in the actual golf rankings. So this is probably not exactly time for guessing, is what I'm
and you'll see.
At. Although in the Open Championship, there's probably more of a variant there, right?
And you'll see in my group of I don't think I got too crazy.
Whenever
we went through it before, there was nothing in there where it was like at the bottom there was, but it was like the odds on those were just kind of silly. Also, I would keep in mind with people, try to look at the weather.
Yes,
weather can matter. Rain does not affect these guys. Rain, if anything, it helps you go lower. It's just softer. You can putt better
for the greens.
Wind is the big. We're just learning that now. Wind is the big equalizer of guys on the tour right now. It used to be like, oh my God, is it raining cats and dogs? I think there's chances of rain all week, but it's not really going to be like a downpour all week. Watch the wind is what I would be recommending. So here's my list, and kind of to your point, I'm
going to pull up the list for you, and I made you put them in.
And I've got some times. I got some times too, so we can fill those in. But just to your point, how the British Open or the Open Championship can bring in some randoms to an extent. Keep in mind, this is a championship that players who normally play on the DP World Tour have a very good shot at making this. If you finish in the top 30 of their version of the FedEx Cup automatic qualifier. So you're going to see some names and a lot of different names you usually don't see.
Yeah.
So just as an FYI, in 2023, last year, the top 5 were all foreigners in the first round. 3 of those were regular DP World Tour guys you would not have heard of if you were just looking at the normal PGA Tour like us. But Adrian Otagwe is the name of one of those guys who last year was in the top 5. 2022, Cam Young was the first round leader. 3 in the top 10 of that year, the first round DP World Tour guys. 2021, Louis. 2019, bunch of foreigners, JB Holmes. So you can get a little bit of random on the first.
You can't in this major. You're right.
In this major. So just kind of that can happen. So
with that in mind, my first pick.
With that in mind, Rory McIlroy. I have to go off the odds. Like, one thing I want to tell us, we are so good about saying things and them happening, and then us like not betting on them.
Yes.
Like, how many times,
we have a gift for that?
How many times in our group text between me, you, and Bennett, where it's like, blah, 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 this is probably going to happen. And it's like, it happened. But did you bet on it? No.
Cam Davis in Detroit.
Last week, I was like, Joe, like, you need to cash out your tickets because, like, I think you might get screwed by somebody shooting stupid. And they did. Like, we're actually pretty good about following the data. We're not good at following directions and following through on the road. So we're going to follow.
We're getting better at that, I think.
So my first 2 picks kind of go off of the heels of good golfers and have shown up in the first round of majors this year. Rory plus 2,200, Xander plus 2,500. Rory is a morning, 10 a.m.
Okay.
Xander's at 2:30 p.m. Tyrrell Hatton playing well in Live, has played well in the majors this year, plus 4,000, 10:09. Big Tony Finau.
Yeah, boy.
Plus 5,500. 9:30 a.m. is his time. Cam Young, first round leader here 2 years ago, has started to play well. I don't trust him on Sundays, but Sunday has nothing to do with Thursday.
Right.
In this bet. Plus 5,500. He is going off late at 3:00. Sahith, the group of 6 that plus 6,000. Sahith, Louis, Adam Scott. All guys that are playing well and on their respective tours. Adam Scott's a guy that had to qualify. I'll get to Justin Rose. Adam Scott had to qualify to make the U.S. Open, but he's kind of used that. I had to qualify to make this tournament. He's now playing well. So on after that. Sahith is at 10 a.m. Louis is at 12:50 p.m. Adam Scott's pretty early, 7:30 a.m. local time. Aaron Rai is next. Hottest player on the planet without a win. Like, legit. Like, he is a guy who has been in the top 20, top 10. I just feel like the last.
Akshay is probably with him, but he does have a win this year.
Without a win.
Yeah.
So Aaron Rai's been, and like, I actually thought he was like going to start slowing down at some point. He's literally played every week. Went to Scottish Open last week, played well again last week. Plus 7,000. He's at 8:30 in the morning. Justin Thomas was your first round leader last week. He's plus 7,000, 7:50 a.m. start time. A little bit more of our longer shots coming up. Alex Noren, he is a regular on the first round leader plays. He's at plus 8,000. He has been playing well. He is off at 6:45 a.m.
Give me that early. Good.
1:45 local time. Cannot wait to wake up and he's like already on the back.
Won't you still be playing college football, EA Sports? So you'll just roll right out of your dynasty mode right into tee times.
5 more. This guy finished 3rd last week at the Scottish Open. He's a regular DP World Tour guy. Roman Langosque, French guy, plus 11,000, goes off at 11:58 a.m. So playing well coming in. Justin Rose.
What value?
Justin Rose is plus 11,000.
That's great value.
7:41 a.m. He's a major killer. Justin Rose will show up and like you'll look at the leaderboard. It's like, oh yeah, of course. Justin Rose is like, it's like Justin Rose and Shane Lowry and Tommy Fleetwood are all kind of like the same person, and they're always around.
Tommy Fleetwood's going to the Hall of Fame, so it's great.
Tommy's going to win this week, but we'll get to that in a little bit.
Just to give you an idea, so because we don't have the translation up here, if you put $25 on Justin Rose and he comes home as a solo leader, that's $2,750.
Yeah.
As you like to tell me often, I've spent $25 on
dumber things.
On dumber
exactly. He's going off at 7:41. The last 3, Matteo Manacero. Some people are like, I feel like I've heard that name before. I've watched golf.
You're getting my people here now.
I watched golf casually. Where have I heard that? He was the amateur that kind of showed up and was in the conversation during the Tom Watson Open. So That was a long time ago. Mateo Manacero is only 30. He had to fight his way back. He won some challenge, some like the equivalent of the Corn Ferry tournament tour in Europe. He had to win that, got his card back, has won a DP World Tour event this year. So he's actually showing some form, played well last week in Scotland. He's plus 12,000. He goes off at 8:15 a.m. Last two, Sammy Valimaki. He's a first round leader. I've hit him before.
Yep.
He is a first round leader guy.
Guess who Sammy's playing with?
Oh God. Henley?
No, Akshay.
No, please not Patrick Cantley.
Please not Patrick Cantley.
Akshay.
Oh, okay.
That group's going low.
That could be good. They can feed off each other. Plus 15,000. They're going off at 3:20 in the afternoon. I know Joe won't like that.
Nope.
Last one, Guido Magliozzi, DP World Tour guy. He's just been playing well coming in. Played decently, I believe, last week in Scotland. Plus 15,000 going off at 10:42 a.m. So I'd say outside of the last like 4, everyone else is capable. This is not one of those tournaments where I'm like, Joe, would you be surprised if Adam Scott was the first round leader? And he's plus 6,000. So I tried to actually get put some guys in there who actually could do it.
You have inspired me to take Rose, which means I'll probably jinx him, but I like the list. I like what we have. So what'd you end up with? 16?
I think so.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, you have to hit some of them to have that type of outlay sometimes.
I've been close lately.
Valimaki was one in Travelers, right?
Was it Davis Thompson who shot 59 a couple weeks ago?
Springer.
He didn't win. I had Sammy was 61.
Yeah.
Like, what are you going to do?
Yeah. Bennett, any of those jump out at you that you're either pro or definitely con?
I'm definitely an early, late, which I'm getting ready to talk about, guy in the Open. I think you do want to be out there early. You want to be off the course before the United States wakes up. You want someone to have to check Twitter to see how you played.
Yeah.
If someone's waking up on the East Coast and you haven't teed off yet, I don't love that for you as far as first round leaders. But I do like there's some sneaky players like a Justin Rose is someone I'm kind of getting ready to talk about. And to Josh's point earlier, people that play well at the Open play well at the Open. They just have that knack for playing well. Jordan Spieth, someone we really have hardly talked about this year. Am I saying Jordan's going to win? No. Does he always show up at the Open? Yeah, more or less. So there's going to be some players like that I'm going to go through that I feel like we haven't been speaking about through the other majors that we might not be so surprised as we go through this weekend.
All right. Before we get into your top 20 picks, did you know that you can sell your car to the Heister Automotive Group? I mean, I'm over here thinking that you only buy cars from the Heister Automotive Group. Oh, no. You could sell it to them, too, at a great price, I might add, because I sold my car a few months ago to my friends at the Heister Automotive Group. You can also get your car detailed and get rid of some pests at the Heister Automotive Group. I got new tires from the Heister Automotive Group. All kinds of service options are available. You're not just buying cars from my friends at the Heister Automotive Group. So you got 2 options here. Just go to heisterauto.com, or this is Bennett's number. You can call 919-524-3348. 919-524-3348. Yes, you can text him for top 20 picks, but yes, you can also text for real work, business options. The real world. His real work, his real job. So, again, that's heisterauto.com, or give me a shout, 919-524-3348. All right, so top 20s. You could do including ties. You can do excluding ties. I think we've been mostly doing excluding ties when we make our individual top 20 picks. Again, some of those dead heat rules apply. If you're actually, if you have a top 20 bet and they finish 5th, you're fine. They finish 15th, you're fine. But if they finish tied for, 17 and there's 8 of them, well, then you get divided by the number of people who are in that final spot. So there can be some risk there in your payout. The dead heat rules do apply. You can shop around and see if you can find some sites that don't do that, but most of them are all into that. I know there are some overseas sites that actually are straight up, mostly those British sites that are super duper into golf gambling. So Bennett, you are our specialist when it comes to top 20 picks. I'm going to let you lead us off with your first top 20 pick.
Well, I will say it seems like for the last 2 majors, my top 20s have not showed out, but my winners have. And my winners have because I've used the data, just like what Josh was saying, follow the data and just make the bets based on the data. So going back to the drawing board, back to the Masters, we hit them all for the top 20 on mine. Missed the last two, but I did get the winners. So, give or take, you're probably not going to hit top 20s and winners and have the, world's best tournament ever. So do your best to eliminate, as many of the bad alternatives as possible. So for this tournament, I'm going to be basically making bets for people that no one would be surprised. These are not names that everyone's going to be like, who is that guy? Who is this guy how did he even qualify? They're all plus 230. I like I'm going to go back to something you actually mentioned earlier. I was going to say before the winners, but I think now is a good time. You mentioned the first round leaders for the first three majors of the year. As we know, for TV purposes now, the featured players are all in the same groups. So, like when Patrick Cantlay went low, he was playing with another featured player. Who it was that week, can't remember. So on and so forth. So this week, I'm looking at who are you playing with, because I do think you don't want to be the one guy in your group going low. I do think there's something to the momentum. Mm-hmm. So for the first round leaders, we've mentioned we're looking for those early guys. And if you're just pick a Rory, for example, he's going to be playing with a top tier player, not somebody that randomly qualified. So there's a subset of players here that are teeing off in the afternoon on Thursday, which I don't like for first round leaders, but I do like for the rest of the tournament. If you can go out on Thursday afternoon, have that late tee time, shoot just at maybe 2 under, 3 under, and survive, and then you get to come out firing early on Friday morning, then you get that nice rest period. You're not having to tee off till late on Saturday. I like those players. I'll spit some of them out here. Cam Young is teeing off at 310 with Scotty and Jordan Spieth. I love that group. Someone in that group is going to shoot a really good afternoon round and be in contention, even though they had a late afternoon tee time. They're going to get to go out Friday morning. So I love that group right before them. So this is the big afternoon TV tee times. You got Shane Lowry, Cam Smith, Matt Fitzpatrick in the group before them. Before that, you got Colin Morikawa, Sam Burns, Siwoo Kim. And then right before that, you got Cantlay, Alexander, and Tiger. They tee off at 2:37, so they're likely to not finish until 9 p.m. with Patrick. But I do like that group of people to have basically a bunch of top 20s. My favorite top 20 this week is the plus 230s, Cam Young. He hasn't been playing great, but he has a lot of experience playing in the Open. We have
well, you should say he hasn't been playing great in majors, but he has been playing well recently.
He has been, yeah, and he I can't remember if it was two.
He was crazy hot at the Travelers.
He played well at Rocket.
Rocket. Well, I was going to say our most favorite tournament of all time. I was thinking maybe he was going to jump up maybe on Saturday and Sunday do well. He finished 8th at the Open last year, 2nd in 2022. So his average finish is 5th. So that's really good. Next, we have Sungjae Im, a guy who, for some reason, Joe doesn't like, but I'm going to tell you before we get our winners why you should be picking Sungjae. So I like him as a guaranteed top 20 plus 230, going back to the drawing board. All statistics point towards him. So Cam Young plus 230, Sungjae Im plus 230, and someone who I think is using all of the momentum, kind of like a Justin Rose we talked about earlier, of having to qualify, had to get back to the basics. Adam Scott, he played well last week, obviously. He has experience. I don't know how many times he's played in the Open, but it's probably like, this is his 20th time. So he's got a lot of experience. Obviously not someone who's a long ball player anymore, but he's accurate, and I like that this week. And it's slow green, so he's got the 8-foot putting stroke. I think Adam Scott can play well. They're all plus 230.
Look, go back to Sungjae. Did I send y'all this stat about him?
I'm just pulling it up.
Here it is.
Oh, please be good.
Joe doesn't like him for some reason.
Let me read this off. Masters cut. Heritage T12. Oh, Wells Fargo T4. Ooh, PGA cut.
Oh no.
Schwab T9. Memorial T8. U.S. Open cut. He's finished, to your point though, Bennett, T3 at Travelers, T12 at John Deere, T4 last week. So my man is like just hoovering up FedEx Cup points and money in like the non-majors. Like, cannot deny him that. But in the majors,
buddy.
He's
This is not who we're putting our money on.
He's missed the cut.
Come on.
In the last 3 majors and finished, but he hasn't finished outside the top 12 in the last 10 tour events. It's pretty spectacular.
What you're telling me is he's a regular tour player.
Yeah. I mean, also, I mean, at the risk of getting myself in trouble, I don't think super difficult conditions Asian players. I don't. It's not something that comes immediately to mind. Shane Lowry, Tommy Fleetwood.
Hideki doesn't. Well, no, Hideki's kind of a sunny day guy.
He's a ball striker, though. Like you could see some. I mean, and so is Sungjae. But gosh, I mean, the results. And those
I'm just saying it would have hit last year. He finished 20th.
He was 3 over after the first 2 rounds in Valhalla, where I'm pretty sure we could have gone out there. And
I was going to say these are 2 disparate tracks: the PGA at Valhalla and Pinehurst. Like. In theory, he should have showed out at Pinehurst. In theory, but we're just giving you a hard time about.
Oh, that's fine. You saw that trophy on that Korean tour event.
He did win the Korean tour event. Yeah. All right, you got one more top 20.
Yeah, I had Cam Young, Sungjae, which you guys love, and you guys are saying put $100 down on, and Adam Scott plus 230. They're all sitting at plus 230. Cam, Sungjae, and Adam Scott.
I like Adam Scott.
Adam Scott just balled out,
and I like him not winning. I do have
not win. We do like that as a general purpose.
I just kind of like you didn't pour it out, you didn't win, but you were close, and you're like, okay, let me go grind next week again. So
okay,
kind of like that.
All right, before we get to our winners and one and done choices and our homemade parlay this week, Josh, you have some top 20s.
Yes, I did.
Of course you do. You want me to give mine? You want the patented Joe comedy ones first, or you want?
No, I had my 2 were easy, but they were pretty known. Big Tone.
Okay.
Big mother effing Tone plus 180 to finish in the top 20. And Tommy Fleetwood at minus 110. And then my other one was kind of like a guy that we're not talking about. Brooks.
BK.
Feels Brooksy. Hasn't shown up.
You had Aaron Rye too.
And Aaron Rye had 4. Yeah.
But we are not talking about Brooks. We went into the year thinking, oh man, he's going to win the Masters. He was my pick for the Masters. He did not play well.
But Brooks this is a hit the fairway, hit the middle of the green, 2-putt.
I will say, since Brooks has went to live, he missed the cut 2 years ago, and he was dead last making the cut last year at the Open.
I was going to say, this is not an event typically that we think of for him.
Not feeling good about Brooks.
But he hasn't.
Sorry.
He's also the type of player who hasn't played well, and he does pop kind of when you're like, oh, what? How did we forget about him?
For the record, we were sorry. Tommy, Aaron Rye, and Big Tone were my 3.
All right, so I'm going to give you my 3.
We just talked you right out of Brooks Koepka. You said Brooks, and then you rehashed and took him off.
No, Aaron Rye was the one that he had.
It was the one that I had.
All right, so I have a love affair for Louis Oosthuizen in majors.
Talk to me. And you gotta, and it can't just be like because he hasn't been in a major in a while. You understand that, right?
To the point where another competitor app would not give me a refund that he wasn't even in the U.S. Open. They did not give me the refund. I was like, okay, cool. So I bet on somebody who was not in a tournament. So keep that in mind. I love the Oos though. You talk about straight. You talk about distance not mattering. You talk about the purest golf swing of anybody anywhere right now. It's the Oost plus 220. And he has won recently actually on the Live Tour.
Okay.
I think his back is cleared up. I got Akshay. I got the local. I got Shay. He's playing, man. I know he hasn't won, and I know majors haven't been great for him.
He played well.
But at Pinehurst,
he should have. Well, and he also should have played well there, right? Yeah. If we're talking about that,
clearly.
Like that's a spot he should have showed out, and he played well there.
His last 4 tournaments, the Memorial, which was hard as hell, tied for 22. U.S. Open, also very difficult, T16. Travelers, which he probably should have won, T5 or Rocket. Travelers he should have won too, and Rocket the very next week. He that's the one he had the 3-putt, which really cost him, but. The T22 had super difficult. The Memorial's been the toughest tournament all year. T16 down at Pinehurst, T5 Travelers, T2 at Rocket. I just think he's playing out of his mind. And obviously he had the win in
where the numbers
Texas
go. What was
earlier
it, plus
this year.
300?
And the number's not bad for Akshay, plus 300. Oost is plus 220. And then finally, the Joe picks a live golfer for the top 20. Who hits the ball straighter? Who do we think of when we think of bunters and tiny dancers? Nope.
Lord T-Roll?
Nope. Abe. Honest Abe.
Oh, God.
Answer. Plus 500. You're going to enjoy this.
Did you see him throwing his club last week? Is that what got you inspired?
Well, I like that. But last year, Honest Abe tied for 11th. Okay. So this theory has not come home for me yet, but these live guys have to be desperate, and maybe they've been putting too much pressure on themselves, because I had Gooch at the Masters or PGA and he didn't play well. I had Neiman at the Masters, he didn't play well under this premise. But I think these live guys, they get these opportunities, they have to make the most of them.
We're starting to see a divide. There's the list of live golfers who did live and still can show up and don't need the competition
Brooks
week in,
and
went out.
DeChambeau, basically.
Then there's the
Everybody
John
else.
Rahm. Have you forgot how to play golf?
He has forgotten how to play golf.
Have you forgot how to play golf? Cam Smith, like guys that you felt like, yeah, they're probably not liking the fact they're not getting like real competitive juice going on. Like guys need that. And so maybe this is the week that Abe shows up, but like
plus 500.
Yeah.
I like that number.
Yeah.
That's where I was on that.
I think it's important to say that a lot of times when you take stuff, it's not like you don't believe in it.
Yeah.
But there's something about the value aspect of it too.
Yeah. There's value. Sorry. Abe Answer was in 2022 when he was in, and that's going to be the answer to your question. What is Giglio's comp for Royal Troon?
Oh God.
I'm getting easy on you guys. Why not the old course? Links.
No, that's
got to keep it straight. You don't have to hit it far.
Yeah, the difference.
Tiger won there without even using a driver.
But the difference is you can hit it all over the planet at the old course off the tee. You can't do that at Troon.
Okay. Well, that was my comp.
Cannot do that.
I am sorry to disappoint you that was my comp. And also remember, these guys tore up the old course in 22.
Yeah,
tore it up.
No conditions. It's
no conditions. Yeah. I think you're going to see that this week. I think this is another tournament that's going to be.
I think we're going low.
14, 15. Yeah, if not more. Like I just think these guys, when you can hit an iron the way that these guys can hit an iron, I just, with the distance and the rollout and all that good stuff, unless the weather comes crazy, I think they're gonna tear this thing up again. So let's get to our winner picks. Bennett, who you got winning this thing?
Well, now that I can't pick Sanjay,
Not that you would to win.
You wouldn't pick Sanjay.
No, I don't have that. But it's going to help me take him off of this list, which is the reason I chose him for a top 20. So I do have one of my famous lists this week.
Oh, yeah.
All of the last 10 Open Championship winners had a previous top 2 finish in a major. At least 3 top 10 finishes in their last 5 starts.
Okay.
A top 40 official world golf ranking. A top 3 finish on the PGA Tour that year. And finally, a prior top 20 in the Open. Okay, so I'll do those really quick again. You're trying to figure out, does Tommy Fleetwood fit this? A previous top 2 in a major, at least 3 top 15s in their last 5 starts. So 3 of your last 5, you had to be kind of humming right in there, right? A top 40 official world golf ranking, a top 3 on the PGA Tour that year, and finally, you finished top 20 or better in a British Open before. The people that fit that list this week: Scotty, big surprise. Rory, big surprise. X-Man, Xander, big surprise. Colin Morikawa, big surprise. Bryson, big surprise. And then 2 people that will surprise you. One guy we have seen now, I think twice, maybe 3 times. He's kind of fallen apart on Sunday. He is the young man. He's the debutante that everyone loves. He is a European player. Poor fella. I don't know when he's going to close it. On a big stage. Maybe it's this week. I don't know. And then lastly was Sanjay. So just to rehash without the laughs, the people that fit the mold.
Who's who of golfers?
Who's who? You got Scotty, Rory, Xander, Aubert, Colin, Bryson, Sanjay.
Okay.
I'm taking off 2 of those people. So I'm just going to make it simple for us. I do not think Sanjay M is going to win the British Open.
Okay.
I do not think our young fella, the debutante that everyone loves, is going to win.
Ludwig Oberg, we should say his name.
Yes.
Okay.
I do not think Bryson is going to go back-to-back, although I do like Bryson. So that only leaves you Scotty, Rory, Xander, and Colin. I feel like the golf gods are going to do what they should do. They fixed Bobby Mack from last year at the Scottish Open. He won. I feel like Rory deserves it. I mean, he absolutely deserves it. He's got 21 top 10 finishes in majors since 2014. The 21 top 10s is most for any player in a 10-year span of men's golf without a major title in the history of men's golf. All the way back to the British Open Council, 1878. Yeah.
It's over half, right? 21 in 10 years. Is that that's the stat is?
Yeah, it's 40.
Yeah. So
that's
he's
insane.
50% of the time he's in the top 10, and bless his heart, he hasn't won. So I think he's due. He's plus 850. Not only is he due, I guess you really could have said that in the last 10 years, but he's really playing really, really good.
Yeah.
Rory is playing good golf. I think this sets up nicely for him. There's par fives. I like his grouping. I like his tee times, plus 850. And then the other guy on that list that I think you guys kind of think I love to hate on him a little bit, and I've gotten some text on that, but Xander, he's plus 1100. For some reason, I just don't love him. I don't love to watch Xander play. I'm not a big Xander guy, but he continues to prove me wrong. He's finished the last.
It'd be cool to see him win a major.
Yeah, well. if he ever won a major, that would be great. He finished 17th, 15th, 18th, 2nd, and 10th in his last Open. So obviously,
Josh doesn't count Valhalla this year for those who don't get the joke.
That doesn't count. I mean, that's not a major. It's not a major. It doesn't count.
Not a major. Sung J.M. definitely didn't think it was a major. He's 3-0. He was like the only guy.
He knew it was a major.
He's like the only guy.
He knew it was a major. That was his problem.
Valhalla like that week.
All right, so you're going crazy chalky, but I don't disagree with either. I don't disagree with Rory at all. Plus 850 Rory, Xander plus 11. Josh, I'll just make you say the two names since everyone should know the two names that you're about to say.
What do they say in England that it never works out in soccer? It's coming home.
Coming home. Yeah.
It's coming home.
I think it's coming home. Thomas Fleetwood is going to win at Royal Troon this week, plus 2,200. And if he doesn't, then
you're ready.
Big Toe.
Oh no, you got your backup in the holster.
I've got to be. No, I mean it's time. We've actually had 3 top 5 golfers basically win majors. I mean it rarely goes through a full calendar year. I feel like where we don't have a. Even Bennett said Brian Harman was playing well coming in, but no one had Brian Harman on the brain going into the Open. And it just, I don't know, this tournament can get quirky. And, I feel like it might be time for a big, but I have no qualms with any of the other guys. Like Rory, no qualms with that. Scott, if you want to tell me Scotty, even though I do think there's something to the effect that he just doesn't win majors after Augusta. I mean, he didn't really show up. The Pinehurst thing was a little shocking. I felt like he should have.
No,
I
was dead right about him at Pinehurst.
But
you can't have the number one test be putting and have him win the tournament.
But he couldn't hit the ball in the stay on the fairway either. Well, like the putting was didn't even matter if you're taking forever to get up there. I think it
bled over mentally for him.
Yeah.
In terms of I can't even putt. What's even the point?
He's
I think he had one of his few meltdowns.
We just may be learning that Scotty is
He's
a better version than Sungjae, a PGA Tour golfer.
He's a TPC specialist.
I mean,
but here's my other comp.
Okay.
I think Florida. I think the Players is a comp here with all the water that they have in Florida.
Do you guys want to get the data?
You have to be straight.
Do you want the comps this week? I haven't given them to you.
Go ahead.
Really quickly, the last 2 Scottish Opens are 80. So a comp on Data Golf is 80% match or better. The last 2 Scottish Opens, Joe's favorite course, Kiowa, which is bad news for Tommy Fleetwood.
Right? You mean British Open, right? Not Scottish Open?
No, the last 2 Scottish Opens. They do not count the last 2 British Opens as 80% matches. So that tells you a little bit of how this course might look. It's different than,
I'm saying the Renaissance Club is a comp.
Gotcha.
Exactly. The PGA Championship was actually in the 90th percentile at Kiowa. So, I will say
the Players is what I meant down in Florida.
Yeah, I know. I'm saying it's actually not. I'm saying that while it seems like it would be similar, it's not.
No.
Kiowa is, which is bad news for Tommy Fleetwood because on my chart here, he finished, did not make the cut at Kiowa. And the last one is really interesting that I like, and this will make sense to us, even though we make fun of these, is Shinnecock Hills. Was also a 90 plus. So if you're an American golf fan, it's going to look most similar to Shinnecock and Kiowa. If you're an overseas person and you're familiar with the last two Scottish Opens, they'll look very similar there.
If it's a matter of being straight, if it's a matter of your second shot, and if the greens are essentially neutralized, I'm taking Scotty Scheffler. Yeah. I hate the number. It's plus 450. I don't like it. I'll combine it with a Carlos Alcaraz to win the U.S. Open. I'll combine it with like Georgia to win the college football championship or something.
NC State to win the ACC championship.
Sure. Yeah. No.
State over 8 wins.
I think we're potentially overthinking this. He's won 6 times this year. Yes, I understand that he's a TPC specialist. I think he had extenuating circumstances at the PGA Valhalla with the arrest. And the last time we saw him, he was at the Travelers. He outplayed 3 guys who were hotter than balls and beat him. And the truth of the matter is, he's the best player in the world. We haven't had a multiple major winner in the same year since 18, which was Brooks. And it's been actually a minute since 14, since Rory won the Open and the PGA. So I just think I think he's going to win 2 majors this year. Like I said, I think we're kind of overthinking this thing a little bit. And my other pick, a little bit longer odds. I didn't realize Terrell fell apart in the final round of the U.S. Open down at Pinehurst, but I watched him. He was hot those second 2 days at Pinehurst, and I'm thinking to myself, I was kicking myself for not having a Hatton ticket, because we kind of thought, well, this course is a mental test and he'll blow up. He's known as a hothead, right? And he shot the 77 on the final day. That day, I actually took that final day of Pinehurst. I took a Terrell Hatton to win the Open Championship. So I have a Hatton ticket. I have a Scheffler ticket, kind of, sort of. I just think we might be overthinking this thing.
Tommy Fleetwood, second place at Shinnecock Hills in 2018. Just wanted to throw it out there. If we're getting into the
so actually, Terrell is your one and done pick, because he's now on Live. I can't use him because I took him actually earlier in the year when he actually won. Bennett, you're one and done. You still have Colin Morikawa available?
I do have Colin.
That's nice. That's
which is nice. Yeah. And I have to go back and check on here, but I'm pretty sure the first 3 majors I took Live players.
Yeah.
With the whole can't take them the rest of the year strategy.
Yeah, I had BK and DeChambeau, so I took Morikawa in Pinehurst.
At Pinehurst, yes.
Yeah. I'm going Oberg, Ludwig Oberg. I think he's been really good in the majors this year. Yeah, he's been great. Yeah, for sure. But second at the Masters, PGA did not make the cut. He was hurt with the knee there, and then it makes no sense.
Ludwig and Sung Jae hanging out on over the weekend.
Pinehurst, he was T12, and then last week he played well. Genesis faded obviously in the final round with a 73, but was really kind of in control of that tournament. So he is my one and done pick. I still have him, and now it is time for the first time for us to build a top 20, including parlays, including ties parlay.
Yep.
So I'm gonna go to DraftKings. Let me pop this on there real quick. Bennett. How hard is it for me to use buttons? Let's see. There it is. I'm just going to hide you for a second. There we go. DraftKings is our official gambling partner. Use that promo code OG24. Get bet $5, get 150 in bonus bets automatically. So again, use that promo code OG24. Sign up for DraftKings. You can make all your golf bets. They have great stuff. They have this one thing we found now that we're very excited about, which is top 20 parlay, which is including ties. But since we are on the internet, and since this goes out to more than just one state, you got to bear with me here for 1 second.
Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Or in West Virginia, visit 1-800-GAMBLER.net. In New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369. In Connecticut, help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. Please play responsibly. On behalf of Boot Hill Casino and Resort in Kansas, 21 and over. Age varies by jurisdiction. Bonus bets expire 168 hours after issuance. Deposit and eligibility restrictions apply. See terms and responsible gaming resources at dkng.co/MMA.
All right. Did you catch all that?
I wrote that down.
I know you wrote it down. No, big thanks to our friends at DraftKings. Looking forward to this college football season being with them. And Josh will definitely have to make some ACC and college football picks before we get rolling on the season. But let's do this now. I'm logged in on my DraftKings app. You go to the PGA, you go to the Open Championship, you click on top finish, including ties. All right, we're each going to pick two, and we're going to make this a 6-person parlay.
Sure.
Okay.
I mean, I've got an 8-1 going that $5 to win 11,000. But if y'all,
yeah, you can get crazy, and we've now. I'm not a big parlay person. I'm not, but Josh 2 weeks ago discovered you can get top 20, including ties parlays. You got a little crazy. You went for you went for 10 of the 20 at the John Deere.
I got them all through the cut,
and you got them all through the cut. Now that week I had 4 of the winners, and I hit. It was like $500.
Yeah.
Last week I did the same thing. I did 3 at the Barbasol. Yeah. But it was still a $500 payday on 3 guys. So I would have gone 5. Maybe I'll just pick 1 and you guys pick 2 each.
Okay.
I want to win the bet.
Okay.
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 I mean, how's that for an idea?
Okay.
All right. So Josh, you go first. Again, we're under an Open Championship on DraftKings, top 20, including ties, which means it doesn't get split. You just need them to be in the top 20. Okay. So you pick first.
Tommy, minus 110.
Oh, he took my guy for it.
Tommy crushed me.
Were you gonna use Tommy?
I really was. Wait,
hold on. I had my other 2.
Okay, now keep in mind, I had one of these for the Genesis, and I had 5 guys in it, and Tommy was the only one of the 5 who was not in the top 20 because he took the pipe on the last day.
That was not coming home last week.
Okay.
My other one besides Tommy was I was actually going to throw in Patrick Cantlay plus 140.
Disgusting, but it's in there.
Hey, I think he got the major hurdle. He showed out in Pinehurst.
He did.
I think he did exercise a few demons there. He doesn't have to win.
Doesn't have to win. This is top 20.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Bennett.
I have Jordan Spieth.
Whoa.
Hey, okay, we want to win, right?
Whoa.
Hang on. So his average finish in the last 9 years is 12th at the British Open.
Where's Spieth at on the top?
That will help your payout.
Okay.
Plus 190. I see it as plus 190.
Yep.
And Tommy Boy.
So you had Tommy as well. Got it.
All right. Josh, give me one more pick.
Let's go a little bit safer. Lord Tyrrell Hatton plus 105.
Okay.
Average finish 49th. Not sure how that's safer, but great.
At the Open?
Yeah.
Oh, average. Yeah. I'm looking at 22. He was. You know what? You know who played well here in 16? I had this in my back pocket.
Hendrickson.
No, Hatton was a top 10 here at this course.
Yeah.
He finished 5th that year.
Hatton's in, Spieth's in, Cantlay.
Fleetwood. Joe hates it.
I'm not taking Fleetwood because he piped me last week.
I thought this was a family one.
He piped me last week.
That's not part of the game. It's a family one.
Joe and Josh will sit on the sideline. Joe, you do your parlay. We'll cheer you on.
Go for it, Joe.
No, fine. I'll take him. I'll take Bryson. I think he'll play well. I don't think he'll win, but I think he'll play well.
So that's a plus $4,800 payout, I believe.
I have it as a 4 pick at 20.
Who'd you take out?
Tommy.
Oh my! You're a bad guy.
Fine,
you're
I'll put him in.
Bad guy.
Fine, I'll put him in because you know why? I'm always a week early or a week late.
Yeah.
So maybe that's what I have to do. I have to get back on the horse. Plus 4803.
Yep.
20 American dollars wins 980.
Bryson, Tommy, Tyrrell, Patty, and Jordan.
In.
Okay.
No, it's Cantlay, Spieth.
Yeah.
Hatton, Big Boy, and Fleetwood.
Yeah.
5 picker.
Yep.
It's in the books.
Yeah.
In the books.
I like it.
We did it. I appreciate it. All right, guys. We will do this again for the Wyndham, and then we'll figure something else out.
You talk about a Sunjay M tournament, the Wyndham.
Now I will listen. Now I will listen.
Can we get a future on that today?
Yeah.
No, I haven't seen anything on the Wyndhams. You can do some Masters for next year, though, if you're interested. So appreciate you guys for listening, and always hit that subscribe button. Leave those comments. Be nice. Appreciate you guys for following us. And we'll see you soon. We'll have more picks, and best of luck this week. Top of the morning to you. Can't wait to watch Roman Laganske tee off at
Go
2 o'clock
low.
in the morning. Let's do this.
It's coming home.
Yes. As they like to say, it's coming home.